And? To screw it up less next time, although we can't possibly screw it up as badly as the city is screwing this up. And welcome to the This Week in Worcester podcast. I'm Tom Marino, editor of This Week in Worcester. I'm here with Mr. John Edward Keogh. He is instructing everyone to send all checks to him, and he is the valued and especially credible and wonderful, amazing, with crazy sources contributed to This Week in Worcester, and is also president of the Hollywood Film Group and executive producer of Manny J Media. Hi, John. I should prepare your title every week rather than do it on the fly because it's really not working anymore.
Which one?
Well, your title.
Oh yeah, I gotta change it every week, man. I gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah, I know, but I kind of here we go with my blurry. It's all right. Nobody wants to see me anyway. Yeah, I understand, but now it takes preparation. Like I'm out of the off the cuff stuff.
I mean, it's good for everybody, though. I think
it's good. It's wonderful for everyone. It's loved and valued by all,
except for you. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hi, Nat.
Oh, I guess I'm Mince Meat. You're the star of the show, apparently.
Yeah. I'm doing better. I was really sick. Yeah, I was really, really sick.
Yes. Oh, true. Oh, I see. I get it now.
Yeah. Someone was just asking how I'm feeling. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't been sick, so I hadn't had a cold since January of last year, and that's because, and it's funny because I can pinpoint when the cold started going away. Is I used to do the ministry at the church, and I used to deal more with the in the media ministry. I had kids, and they were always hacking and sneezing on me all the time, and so then I used to get colds more often, and so then I stopped doing that, and because just a lot of different reasons, but a big reason is just I had so many things to do. I couldn't do that too, and didn't get sick until I got this cold, man, and it wasn't COVID. It was whatever whatever this year's thing is, and man, that thing kicked my butt. It wrecked me, man. There was one day I legit could not move. I was just like,
I'm kidding, Natalie. I forgot that John was almost we almost lost him to the high level cold.
And the thing is, normally when I do get sick, no one knows about it because I don't complain. But this thing was too much for me, too much for John to make it through without saying something else.
I think I said in the post when we canceled last week that we would try to do something during the week, but holiday week or whatever, it just didn't happen.
Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, everybody was busy. Makes sense.
Absolutely. A future mayor is here. Spam, Twitch, that's good.
Maria would have brought me. No one was bringing me nothing. Nothing at all.
I wasn't bringing nothing. I wasn't catching that.
No. There was no bringing. I was a zombie. I was.
A god tier stand-up comedian, Patrice O'Neill, as I think it was I forget where it was now, but he has a bit about you get sick and your girl is like, I'm gonna take care of you, I'm gonna make you soup and blah 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 blah, and then she gets sick and you're like, God damn.
Yeah. Now it's funny because before COVID, we all used to like try to weather the storm and, fill yourself full of artificial, medicines and try to go to work. And at this point, dude, you're sick, stay home. Stay home, don't talk to nobody, and just keep it to yourself. Like I don't, you know what I
Seriously.
mean? Like I'm good, dude. I'm all set.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
since,
canceled all the things I canceled. I was like, nope, not going to nothing. And
no, I don't blame you. Yeah, I haven't, I've been knocking on wood, been pretty lucky since COVID. I got COVID very late, and then,
yeah.
like 23, I think, and, um, but that was the only time I had it, but, since then, been lucky with the colds and whatnot.
So I never tested positive for COVID, but before it became a thing, that like the fall before, I definitely got some scourge, and I know there's a lot of evidence now that COVID was around longer than we were originally told, and so
Yeah.
I remember being really sick that the November or December before COVID. So I'm pretty
So what
sure I
was
had.
that? That was February 2020 is when it landed, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. March was the
Yeah,
lockdown. March was
yeah,
March of
yeah.
2020.
So New Year's Eve that same year, a couple months earlier, uh, I mean, I didn't move. I didn't get out of bed for 5 days. I literally got up and went to the bathroom, went back to sleep
Mhm.
for like 4 or 5 days. 4 days. We'll go with four. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, it was extended, and I didn't do anything but sleep.
Yeah,
Didn't have any of the like the cold symptoms or the cough or anything, but I didn't. So I kind of thought, well, maybe,
yeah.
but it certainly whooped me, whatever it was.
It's funny. I've come all the way around on like mom's home remedies from when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there was a few years there. Whenever I got sick, I would pound Dayquil and get all the store bought nonsense. I haven't touched that stuff in years, man. It's what's the stuff? It's the vapor rub, and
Yeah.
it's hot lemon juice and tea, and maybe throw a toddy in there, maybe little Irish whiskey. Clear yourself out, walk, move around, and get the stuff out of your system. No more of that store bought, medicinal supplies. I'm all set.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna depart from you there. I will drug up with store bought medicinal
and
supplies.
sleep like there's no tomorrow. Sleep like there is no tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I
On the
mean, and I can
Saturday,
sleep on command. So
so a week ago yesterday, I slept 16 hours easy. And literally could not speak. I had no ability. And I got lucky too because um, Manny was doing the Holy Cross thing in Fenway Park. And so I was supposed to go with him, but I just couldn't. And Manny was fine with that. He went and did it himself. And so, yeah, I was out.
well,
I did.
welcome back.
Yeah, I did watch the meeting. There was nothing going on in the meeting.
Yeah. Well, I think that was shorter than the 22. Somebody told me that was actually shorter than the 22-minute meeting, but it didn't seem like it was to me.
Well, it was
Uh.
almost shorter, and then Council King had one thing that he talked about for like 11 minutes.
Oh. Yeah.
So it ended
And that's fine.
almost. Yeah.
People. At least somebody talks in there.
Yeah, yeah. I like how people like want all of a sudden there to be, there's this like drum beat that now, like when the new council is coming, and I know we're going to talk about it more later on the show, that somehow we're going to have much shorter meetings and everything's going to be real efficient, and uh I call nonsense on that.
Yeah. Look, if and we can talk. We can plan for this till later, but
Yeah,
um, you know, the the
type the end.
so people say that public comment would be much more limited if it wasn't on TV. You know what else would be limited? Councilors' orders, 90% of them, which don't happen.
Yeah. So
You
the
want to talk
thing,
about but I want to talk about people positioning for TV time. Let's look at it on both ways.
but that also shows that they didn't attend council, like, because that's not true. Because before the council was televised, we had legends of the city council public participation meeting for years and years and years and years. And now remember, they didn't have a 2-minute window, right? So I remember when Bill Coleman used to go to the meeting, and Bill would talk for 15 minutes, and they would let him. And so it's just it's all they don't want you to like look into the history of
Right.
city council and say these things because their preferred people who used to talk a lot. You know what I mean? When Gary was before Gary became a city councilor, when he was still on the school committee, he used to come over to the city council all the time and ramble on. So I don't want to hear it with this. They used to have Fred. Fred used to talk for way longer than he back in the day before they made the 2 minute thing. And so that's all nonsense, and that's all to limit it's just they just want to limit public comment because the public comment is going against them. And Councilor Bergman has said it multiple times. Right in the other world that he lives in, he never hears any negative feedback, and it's only the same group of people at city council. Which, by the way, for the sake of democracy, awesome that there's someone else providing him with a different point of view.
Right. It's exactly right. I mean, it's Natalie's exactly right. People make the effort to speak, and then they get shut down because of I don't know what, because they don't have time. File less orders then, if you're worried about trying to get out of there earlier, because none of
Yeah.
them ever happen, or very few of them ever happen.
Not only that, a lot of the orders are duplicate, duplicates of other orders. This counselor wants a report from the city manager on left-handed sidewalks, and this other counselor wants a report from the city manager on right-handed sidewalks. And so then we have two orders, and we got to listen to both of them pontificate about which sidewalk in their neighborhood is the one that needs to be the report the most. And they don't work together. And by the way, like this other idea coming up that they're all going to work together, no, they're not. No, they're not. They don't work together now. Even the majority, they have their own things, which was perfectly encapsulated by Candy Carlson's the tax on the schools. That came out of nowhere, right? It literally came out of nowhere, and again, I think it was a Hail Mary play to get Candy reelected. I really do. Now that we have the benefit of hindsight, looking back on that particular thing, and she was hoping that the petition being on the ballot would lead to her, being voted in. But people did not vote for that and her side by side.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it was necessarily by the time it got to election day. I don't know that it was necessarily attributed to her. Right? It was just on the ballot.
No, it wasn't attributed to her, but I mean, she was by far the most public and vocal about it, and I
For sure.
think she wanted that to be like a centerpiece thing, and so it didn't work out that way. Yeah, Victor, I know. I was actually walking over there on Park Avenue, the new sidewalks. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand our city. You go see especially in front of so the ones they did in front of Price Chopper. I literally I feel like they ripped them up and then took the stuff that they had in them before and put it back down. I swear, that's what they
Oh, good
did.
Lord. I
Because
haven't been over there to see it.
there's no difference between them. And then so where the UPS store is. So anybody who knows Park Avenue, the UPS store is like one of the worst places for both parking and traffic in the city. Because to get it, there's only like 6 or 7 spaces in that little tiny lot, and it's impossible. It's like a hard right turn to get in there and then get off to get out onto Park Avenue. And for some reason, people love to take a left out of there, and then they jam the entirety of Park Avenue because it is what it is. And then, of course, now the new Doherty traffic pattern, they really, really, really screwed up the Doherty traffic pattern, Tom. It's so bad. Highland Street is basically locked up now from like 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock. It's just a parking lot. There's no getting around it. And remember, remember, listen, we had to listen to the mayor talk about the new school and it'll never be a problem. And then there was a few people from that neighborhood who brought this up, and it turns out that they were right. Changing the traffic pattern that dramatically changes everything. And the buses were supposed to go up top, but I see them lining up on that little outlet thing, and then what they didn't do is they didn't fix Highland Street all the way down to the Rotary. So they needed to fix that street, and because they pushed that off, yeah, the crosswalk is it blows my mind. There's a turn thing, Tom, and then there's like a straight, right? And they put the crosswalk on the top of that where the turn is. And so, like, there's people stepping out into traffic all the time. It's Worcester, and then there's people trying to take a left, and then there's and then of course typical Massachusetts drivers. There's people getting in the left hand only lane and shooting straight down towards the intersection, blowing by buses on the left hand. No one even cares. It's just wild, 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 wild. Really bad job, poorly designed. Yeah, I agree with you, Natalie. It needs to be looked at, and I'm sure there'll be people petitioning this during this next session.
But well, good luck with that, because if it's actually that might get through because it is a traffic and parking issue. But I think if it's they'll find a way to they'll be those that make those decisions will be instructed to deny that, so it doesn't see the light of day.
They did this. This is so okay. Now I don't want to go off on Mill Street and what happened with Worcester State and how much that was like a political football for the last 4 years, right? But the real failure, which somehow he's managed to skate, was the city manager explaining to people that the state is doing this. Like it's not like somehow Attell got blamed for Mill Street, right? Now, she championed the bike lanes and all that stuff, and people associated that to her. And then Jose ran on, and I don't understand this at all. He ran on, I'm going to fix it. It's going to change. No, it's not. No, it's not going to change.
No, it's not going to change.
It's not going to change. The state's doing it. But what the state did, and
well, hold on, time out. State doesn't do Mill Street. There's some state funding in it, but that was a city thing, and they classified it what they did now as an improvement, so it didn't need support from council. The next iteration, which will be with state funding, when they do the whole thing as there is going to be in the long term, which will include bike lanes, that has to be approved.
So the stretch of Mill, we're conflating two things. So the stretch of Mill Street from Park Avenue to Coe's Pond is technically still part of Route 12. So the state determined the configuration of it, which was what led to the distinction between that section and the next section, because you can see like they were laid out originally different. They did fix that. They put in the yellow things. They got rid of those little triangle boxes that led to the older guy dying. The reason he died is because, one, you couldn't see anything there when you came around that turn, and there was like a triangle box behind the last parked car thing, which they've up till Coe's Pond, the beach spot, they fixed it, but they haven't fixed it all the way down. But what I'm saying is that they do these things piecemeal, and they don't really explain to people why they're doing it that way. And that's really what has led to all this constant thing. And so the same thing's happening now in front of Doherty, because they need to fix Highland Street, I'm sorry, all the way down to the Rotary, the Pleasant Chandler Rotary, right? And they haven't fixed those things because they don't have enough money, probably, I guess, or the money doesn't go when it's supposed to go, blah, 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 blah,
blah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. What triangle? They don't have. I'm saying it wrong, but they used to have these little boxes at the end that kind of had like a cutout triangle. The painting, they painted the lines wrong, is what they did. Those were where the poles were supposed to go originally, but the city manager's team did not do a good job explaining that, and that's what led to a lot of the confusion at the beginning. Those poles were supposed to be part of phase 1, not phase 2. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's get to our list of things. So because we listed that we missed last week, I just wanted to bring up that there was a recount last weekend. I was there for some time on Saturday. Everybody in the world has said this already, but credit to Nico and his team for really, they well organized. I mean, something we don't see in this city very often. Well organized, on top of it. No, I didn't see any nor hear of any, really conflict that happened there or whatever. I mean, the worst thing that happened is people were getting chatty while people were trying to count, and they were told that they needed to stop doing that. But I mean, otherwise, everybody and their brother showed up. Everybody. For one side or the other, and it turned out Bergman was ahead of Mo Bergman was ahead of John Kamara by 30 some votes.
Yeah.
But great job by the clerk's office. They did an excellent job, and I mean the number of people, and I think there was 60 tables if I remember correctly, all counting independently, and they worked through all 100 and whatever thousand ballots. So
Yeah.
um,
Bubbles.
bubbles,
Yeah.
and I mean the process was, one person would look at the physical ballot with a ruler, right, and slide down and read all the names that had a bubble, and then they'd call out, of course, the number of blank votes if the person didn't vote for six. Well, somebody else noted it on a oversized spreadsheet, and they did it 50 ballots at a time. Every
Right.
table 50 ballots at a time, right? And they'd actually do 10 sets of 5 at a time, and then that would be one sheet. And so it was really well organized and really well done. I really got nothing negative to say about it. They kudos to Nico and his team.
I thought, I mean, obviously I couldn't be there because I was sick as a dog and would have made you all have whatever I had. Um, but all intense. I just think the thing that the thing that bothers me is just listening to the comments online. Just at this point, anybody who like I'm starting to check out completely when people are like, oh, they're bussing in people from out of town. All right, now I'm not listening to you ever again. Or Steve Quist is complaining to the election controllers that Bill Shaner's on his phone and all this other nonsense, and then Wayne Griffin is on his phone and another guy's on his phone and tit for tat and all this other stuff. It's just I'm those people that have been empowered like through the last 2 election cycles, man, dude, our city is worse off that those people have a voice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. And I'm a free speech guy. It's just that, man, having to listen to them talk and then make these conclusions about the election results. Again, 22%, right? Um, of the registered voters. Not
Right.
a majority of the city. 22% of the 22% of the registered voters, which I don't know that we have a majority. Maybe we do. Maybe I think there was 111,000 um, uh, total voters. So I don't even know if we have a true majority of people registered to vote. And so like people are taking victory laps around the city right now. And they're like, we won and everything's gonna be back to normal now. And dude, 22% of less than half. It's about 10% of the population votes. That's all you need to know. And so it's saying that is this victory. No, the thing that it strikes me, Tom, is that 90% of the registered voters don't vote, or 80%. 80% of the registered voters don't vote in this election. And hey, when we have a federal election, it jumps up to 50. It does, right? So next year during the federal election, it'll jump to 50. But it still means half of the voters don't vote
Mm-hmm.
in the city of Worcester that are registered.
And now with automatic voter registration, it'll probably go down.
That's wild. That's wild that it'll get worse. And yeah, because I do think voter registration drives leads to people going to vote, right? Because the process of interacting with a campaign or with the city, and yeah, I'm with you 100%. No more excitement, no more of that stuff. And so, but what's mind-boggling is listening to the people say things like, "I'm grateful to the community for electing me to this position again." It's like the community. The community? What do you mean the community? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? 9,000 people is not the community. The community is
Well, I
200.
mean, but I don't know. Like that's who showed up. I mean, it is what it is.
No, I know, but I have an issue with taking credit for that. I really do. It drives me crazy. And the blank vote thing, that's weird. And seeing the cross voting, I saw a lot of people reporting, different combinations of people. And so,
Oh, it's
like,
wild. It's craziness.
yeah, people will they'll vote for Christian for city council, and then they'll vote for Joe for mayor to balance it out. And it's just like, man, this like the funny thing is other than in our chat, I don't know any of these people that do it this way. And so I don't know how that's the only group of people that vote. And the vast majority of people just don't. They're
Yeah,
just
I can't. Some of the ballots I saw, I was just like, huh?
Yeah, no, I saw a bunch of, I saw, now there were a lot of people taking pictures because I saw a bunch of ballots, and there was a bunch of people, a bunch of people voted for Dr. Mitra and Gemma. And so if you voted for Dr. Mitra, you probably canceled out your vote for Gemma, right? Because that group of six was the kind of the majority six that are there. You needed to make a decision between the two groups realistically if you wanted to have one person go up. And now, although she finished down 32 votes, the accomplishment of um, of Gemma Kamara, getting to where she got to, I really think it can't be. It needs to be continually stated how much of an accomplishment, how hard she worked, and the results. From the voters of the city of Worcester, for someone who never ran for city council before, to have in the at-large race that impact. I think that Gemma and others should think about this in terms of you can't if you give up, then the momentum is gone. But don't give up, and really lean into that hard work, and I think that it'll pay off because, again, if you go back in time, that Worcester does go back to Attell, when Attell ran for at large in 2019. Was it
I think so.
2019?
I think so.
And she lost, and then she came back 2 years later and then won in the D5, right? So that is definitely something that happens in the city, and so you got to look at those things, and not necessarily look at the disappointingness. But man, listening to the victory laps, pro, what the heck? What are we dealing with? What city do they live in?
Yeah, Hank Stoltz son Taka Kamal had Council Bergman on after the recount was completed, and he was fine. But I mean, he did say, this will be quote more moderate council, and I don't think being against transparency. I think when your ideological position is transparency, or pardon me, oversight is bad. I don't think that's moderate. I think that's quite extremist,
Yeah. No,
and that is their position.
Yeah, I know. And so I'm going on TV tomorrow with Councilor Rosen and Hank and I think Mark. So like that's what that's the lineup for tomorrow. And in the notes, Gary's like, I want to talk about how much this council is going to accomplish and how much we've been able to accomplish in the past. Dude, you will not hear the end of it from me over the next 2 years. What accomplishments has the city? What can you name? This is I wanted to ask you this, Tom, because maybe I'm missing something. Can you name? Skip, go back 4 years to the last Gary Rosen council. Do you remember a signature policy from that group?
The ballpark doesn't pay for itself.
Oh man, I love Tom, man. I love you, bro.
I mean, that's what it is. And I mean,
Yes,
look, in this cycle, in this election cycle, Councilor Bergman and Mayor Patey both said the same thing during the at-large debate. What was the accomplishment of this council? And they both said ADUs. That was
the state did
that
it.
was an ordinance for about 5 minutes before the state totally overrode it with its own legislation.
By the way, it was almost completely written by Attell. Almost all the work was Attell. And Council Bergman, they worked together on it. I'm not saying they didn't work, there was no work done, but they're taking credit for something that was the primary policy driver as far as written policy on the council the last few years has been Attell. Writing a ton of, Christian too, but Attell probably the majority. District council writing most of the stuff, which is interesting. I always find that to be fascinating kind of thing.
Well, I don't know that she physically wrote it, but I mean, she was certainly of that council. She was certainly the primary driver of policy.
Maybe I shouldn't say that she wrote it, like as in like wrote legislation, but in the meetings, in the committee hearings, that she was a driver of a lot of those questions that then got sent to the city manager, and then the city manager did it. Just like in the pregnancy centers thing, that was really driven by Councilor Nguyen.
Yep.
You can't take it away from them that they were the driving force behind that whole policy, which again didn't end up the catalyst. That's a great word for that. But most of the other policies are driven by agencies, not driven by the city council, right? So like the police wanting the for like the drone stuff. Well, it was snuck in by Ed, but that was really it was really Paul Sartier who drove that policy
Hmm.
because he was the one pushing for the training when he was the deputy chief, right? Shot spotter. That's another thing that was driven by Paul internally too, because he's always been the tech guy. Um, those aren't city council policies. Those were the police department saying we want this, and then the city council saying okay.
Yeah.
That,
Right. Right. Right.
that, in this case, this year, the fire department asked for the sprinklers thing. The chief said he was for it, and then the city manager was for it, and this council voted it down, which blows my mind.
Yep.
They they voted it down, right? They voted it down. But by the way, when we get into our other topic, I have an interesting little tidbit. There's zero evidence of that, Fred, at all, literally anywhere,
Yeah.
except
You
for
literally cannot demonstrate that.
literally the company. That's not. Hold on, Tom. Let me back that up. The company that runs ShotSpotter, they put out a great report on it. they
Yeah.
and they tout it to the moon, but there is no independent science that says anything about ShotSpotter being verifiable. No science behind it at all. I'm not. And again, that's a bigger question, but none at all. Waste of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's arguments for it, but it's very difficult to quantify its value.
Yeah, so a perfect example. I was, Park Avenue is right there. There was a huge shooting event or whatever that they said that happened on Highland and Park Avenue, Highland and Russell Street over here by the church near the Price Chopper. And ShotSpotter told them it was like 15 or 16 shots were let off according to the ShotSpotter. Turned out that's not true. I walked over there and I talked to the officers on the scene. By the way, Tom, we're much more popular than you realize in the police department. And
I'm aware.
when I was walking over there were officers like, "Hey, John, what's up, man?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" It was wild, and
Yeah.
it was one. I think they recovered one bullet or one casing at the scene, and now their argument is that casing is worth infinite value, but they didn't recover the person, right? So like in this case, there was no one arrested from it. So I don't know what value it did. If you recovered a bullet casing, I guess you can maybe eventually track down the person. But if it doesn't allow you to arrest the person and it tells you that way more events happened than did, that's not great. You know what I mean? That's not great at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll derail the whole show
Yeah. I mean,
if we responded.
just don't know the facts. Yes, it does let let the police know things are going on. It lets them know way more things are going on than they ever develop evidence that things happened when they get
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Way
yeah,
more. Way
yeah.
more.
There's a lot of cars backfiring all over the city.
They find evidence at like I forget what the number was. I mean, I did it a few years ago. I forget the number. It was like 20 something percent. I think it was 23% in my mind, but I don't exactly remember of the ShotSpotter alerts that they went to where they found any evidence that any crime happened. So that means, basically one of every five. So that means you're deploying officers to 4 scenes where no evidence is found that anything happened. That doesn't mean something didn't happen, mind you. But the alerts that lead to evidence and arrests are very disproportionate.
Mm.
I mean,
Sorry.
there are intangibles that the thing provides that are worth consideration, but to come down to how do you analyze, in a scientific way, this tool that they have, it's very difficult to do so. And if you can't measure the success of a thing, then how can you say how wonderful it is if there's no metric, no way to judge it? Doesn't make any sense.
By the way, I'm working on an exclusive
I lost my
story
earpiece.
for This Week in Worcester, folks, that is going to answer the statements that Councilor Bergman has made on the floor for the last 4 years, which is that he said, and I quote, he said it both on city council floor and he said it in the public safety committee, that every person of color that he's ever known says that they feel safer with ShotSpotter. That is Mo Bergman quoted right on the city council floor and on the public safety committee floor multiple times. Everybody he talks to. So right, Mo is a very much. I have friends that are black guy, very much. But he said that every person of color that he speaks to tells him that they feel safer with ShotSpotter. So I have been working on a long-term report, Tom, in those neighborhoods, and I am talking to as many people as possible to find out: A, have they ever spoken to Mo Bergman? And B, what do they really feel about ShotSpotter? And I'm trying to be as thorough as I can to find out who when they've ever talked to anybody. The vast majority of those conversations happen at community or the neighborhood meetings, right? And I would say this, I at this point I have more than anecdotal evidence that a lot of the neighborhood meetings people don't feel comfortable going to. They just don't. They, and listen, and I don't want to get into criticizing neighborhood meeting leaders. However, there are some neighborhood meeting leaders who have been the neighborhood meeting leaders for, let's just say, a long time, a long, long time. And many people feel like they're shut out in engaging in those meetings because they have people who have been in kind of this weird position of authority that doesn't really exist for a long period of time. And so it's really figuring out who's talking to the councils that having such wide impressions on them that they can make those kind of public statements without any pushback, because there's no mechanism in the city council to accuse anybody of lying or anything like that. It doesn't matter. They can say whatever they want. There's no consequences.
Well, I mean, that's in every legislature ever, though.
Yeah.
There's the discretion. They basically have the discretion to perform. I'm not saying
Yep.
that's what he's doing. I'm just saying that that's in every legislature through the feds, every state, etc.
Yep. They can lie unchecked, and there's nothing you can do about it. Except for public pressure. That's it. The only thing you can do is public.
Yeah. So now that the recount has been decided, we have the next council, which is looks to be pretty firm expansion of the mayor's coalition from 6-5 or 6-4 to 7-4. With the addition of Jose Rivera, Tony Economou, and I think that while he will be a wild card on some stuff, I think that John Frisolo will probably be right. I mean, Frisolo's a guy who said he didn't even bother reading the DOJ report, so that's where he sits on the police, is whatever they tell him he's going to believe. Because a guy who, in his own words, or I believe his own perspective, was just wronged in every way possible, set up to fail by the state legislature. You'd think that he'd understand the importance of abuse of authority, but apparently he doesn't. And I have no illusions that Jose Rivera is going to do exactly what the police department would like. And Tony Economou described the DOJ report as words on paper.
Yeah.
And if he feels the same way about the state and federal constitution, well, he'll fit in well with this council.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things that Gary ran on was that he was going to become like a swing vote on certain issues.
I think he will be.
Well, maybe, but there's not enough opposition now for that to matter because of both John and Tony, right? So it wasn't just one person. So Dr. Mitra is 100% going to vote however the mayor tells him to vote. He's bought and paid for by the Chamber of Commerce, so he's just going to do whatever literally still a member of the Chamber of Commerce board, former executive director or whatever, he's some version of it, or president or whatever, a chamber member directly. I just don't see that he'll vote for anything except what the chamber wants. What the chamber wants is what the chamber will get. And so I think that I can predict for you exactly how this session will go. There will be there'll be no arguments because they're all going to vote exactly the same way. There's no, and there's no conversation. And although, Gary Rosen has said on the radio and he said on TV, like, I don't want to take a position. I want to listen to my constituents. But he's already staked out all the positions that you could possibly look for the city council to even take up. Right. So, other than traffic and parking, what big issues are they going to talk about in this next session? The charter. Are they going to bring up the charter? The mayor said he would. But
They're not going
realistically,
to do anything on the charter. They're not going to do anything on the charter. Just
yeah,
stop
but
it. That.
what I'm saying is he doesn't have to now. He doesn't have
Oh
to.
yeah.
Right. Like, so that was if there was going to be maybe a closer coalition, right? So then maybe he would have been forced to, but now he doesn't have to. He definitely didn't do the 5 public meetings on the DOJ report.
No, I mean, and the funny thing about that was nobody was asking for that. Nobody asked for that. He just raised it as a motion, and they passed it unanimously, and then they didn't do it.
Yeah, it was just made up. It was just made up to get us out of there. I was like, all right, we're gonna talk about it, guys, and get rid of people out of the building. That's what it is. So I mean, so obviously, the citizens review, the citizens review board, right? The report that came from the Worcester Regional Research Bureau. I mean, Mo Bergman's already on the record. He's going to vote against it. Tony Economou, he's going to vote against it.
Yep.
John Fasolo, he's going to vote against it. Kate Toomey, she's going to vote against it.
So the question then becomes what? It's been 8 months since they asked for this report. It's going to be a year in a few weeks, 2 weeks. No, it was December 4th that thing came out, right? The report. So it's going to be, in a few days, it'll be a full year since the DOJ report came out, and all they've said is what they won't do. They've said nothing, not one thing about what they will do. There's been no alternative proposal to a civilian. If you don't like a civilian review board, what is your alternative? And their alternative is nothing. Because they are ideologically opposed to oversight, which is about as un-American as you could possibly be.
Yeah, so Mayor Petty has said, I want to look at it. I want to see when the information comes back. Obviously, the information came back, not what he was hoping. But there are 6 votes already publicly who ran and said that they would vote against it if it came to the floor. So
this is supposed to be the moderate wing.
Yes.
The anti-American wing is the moderate wing.
So it'll never happen. It's already done. It's already decided. They've already decided. So I don't even know if it'll come to a vote. Why would it? It's 6 people are already against it publicly. Why even have? It's a sham of Dr. Mitra. He's publicly against it. So I mean, like, what's the point of having the conversation? It's useless. You know what I mean?
Please have the conversation. Please do. Please.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I'm always open, just so maybe we can get some public people to come and give some public comment. Maybe someone could convince somebody. But everybody, there's already 6 votes publicly against it already, and I think Gary Rosen would be the 7th.
All of them. And to all of them, and that's another thing. Everyone, this right here. Every time you hear this from Councilor Toomey, from Councilor Bergman, they are lying to you. Lying. They don't not know better. They're lying. They know exactly that the Post Commission was never designed to do their job for them. The job that they refuse to do.
It says it on the Post Commission's website. It's not designed to replace local oversight. It says it right on their website.
It is a lie. L-I-E lie.
So it's great. It's a great lie. It's a spectacle. And again, there's no mechanism in place ever to hold them accountable for that dishonesty. And so it's just not a serious conversation. And I'm not saying to give up. I'm not a give up or guy, but a liar pants on fire. That's funny. But what I am saying is that I don't think that this conversation will result in a different thing. I know, someone will bring it up. It'll go to committee in the public safety committee. And, I'm doubting whether or not Gary can overtake Kate for the public safety committee, because now I'm hearing that Kate is advocating for it, behind closed doors, that she wants to remain on the public safety committee. And of
10
course,
years of doing nothing. Now, why don't you reward her, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. And so, and of course, the police unions want her back there, and so she's going to be back there. I doubt. Maybe Gary will join and replace Mo. So maybe it'll be Kate, Mo, Gary, and Louis. I guess. I mean, I just don't know. But again, that's 2 votes against any accountability. Because again, I don't see Gary will have public hearings and he'll hold conversations, sure, but I don't think he'll ever vote against the police. He never has, and he has no track record of ever voting against them. So I don't think he would. Anyways, he might question line items and budgets during the budget session, but they really don't have any power or authority to do anything there, anyways. So it'll just be conversation between him and the chief.
The Post Commission has the power to certify and decertify officers. It can do its own investigations. It said it does. It investigates about less than 10% of the complaints that comes into it. They're first referred to the local municipality to do its investigation. The purpose of the Post Commission is, 1, licensing and unlicensing officers, and 2, to provide standards for local oversight. We do not have any local oversight, however.
We do not. We do not have any local oversight, and they're happy with it that way. They're happy with it that way.
The Post Commission also has the ability, although I don't think it's begun yet. Maybe it's building. It could be building the mechanisms to do so, but it also, in the law, has the ability to certify agencies as well, law enforcement agencies, for following the law.
Right, which the city of Worcester is saying that it wants to do that application process. The chief brought that up at his.
That's something totally different.
Oh, a different certification.
Yeah.
By somebody else.
But it is actually very robust, and it has high standards. So that's good.
It's 10%. So they take up 10%, but they refer back of the 10%. They refer back to those are complaints that come into the commission directly. They take up 10% of those. But the first thing they do with that 10% is they refer it back to the agency. They don't independently, in the Post Commission's history, they have not started an investigation that they hadn't first referred back to the originating agency. Not
so it's supposed to be oversight. It's supposed to be oversight of local oversight of the police department, right? And they're kind of looking at the oversight mechanism, right? They're not there to do it for towns and cities. They couldn't possibly do that. They couldn't possibly do it.
They don't. We worked that out before. They just don't have the staff to do that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, none of the other mechanisms that we say are in place really work, right? Like the state police technically is supposed to investigate municipal level crime.
But they're probably in worse shape.
But the state police is not the agency you want overseeing anything right now. They're in a ton of trouble with a lot of different things, and they don't have the staffing either to take on every local municipality's problem cases. Shoot, even when there's something that happens, when you would want kind of oversight from maybe the DA, Joe Early, he gets himself out of every case possible and recuses the entire office and punts it out to other DAs. So then we don't really see any real investigation from the local groups, which, by the way, that's what we're saying. There is no local oversight. And so there's no real mechanism to see if there's even an independent set of facts. Hey, there's something else. And most of the cases that we've talked about, the only reason there was an independent set of facts was because there was a video that they didn't know about that came out afterwards proving the complete false statements made by the officers, or witnesses came forward also doing the same thing. So you only have evidence coming forward. Now, that's just in the time since we've had cameras. We have no way to go back in time and look at cases where there was no camera evidence. And a lot of this stuff that we pointed out, it's just because someone happened to have a camera that they didn't know about.
Or there's surveillance video that the police officers didn't know about.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, we had that in 2 cases in the last 5 or 6 years. The Beer Garden and the Fafana case. Fafana is working its way through the system now.
Yeah, and hey, just to give you a national example, right? Like a national example. Greg Bovino, our trusty leader of the Border Patrol, the Continental Border Patrol, the CBP, up there. He got caught. Remember, he said someone threw a rock at him, and then he threw tear gas. And then it turned out an FBI agent's body camera caught him throwing the tear gas first. and then a bunch of his officers throwing tear gas, and then a rock came and hit him afterwards. It's always going to be that way because
Hmm.
you cannot believe or trust these officers or any of these agencies that tell the truth. You just can't. They've lost all credibility, and so you need something independent. That's all we're saying is you need something independent to verify what we can see whenever there is evidence. It seems like it just doesn't come out that way. But
And I tried to petition the city council to create a commission, a board, or something that looks at other cases from officers we know that have lied to try to send people to prison for things they didn't do, and it wasn't allowed to be heard by the city council.
That's true. That's true. We also have that going for us, where the city council currently operates under this thing that people should not be heard. We
Well,
don't want
no,
to hear.
it operates like it's the personal country club of 6, and will be 7 members.
Yeah, and again, and by the way, not to leave anybody out of it, but I was the person who put in for the rule to at least for the discussion about councils using their cell phones during public comment. It was rejected by the city solicitor. I can't ask about those things. Somehow that was due to personalities, even though I never mentioned a name. Whatever. I can't. I still don't understand that.
She just makes stuff up. I mean,
Right, yeah.
the whole department is gutted.
But then
She's personally responding to public records requests at this point because everybody else is gone.
yeah, I know. I have one pending that that is a
Oh,
big
you're gonna
one.
be waiting forever.
Yeah, I know it's going to take a long time. They found the stuff that they said they didn't have. I just got that email the other day. There's a new lady, Marta. Is she new? She's working in there because she's the one emailing me.
I don't know. Somebody responded to me and said, we found records responding to your request, and then there was no document attached.
Yeah. So no, it's just the clerk then responded to me and said, "Hey, you can reach out to your district counselor through this email that they have that is for petitions." Right. So then it's on the website. You can use it. So I used that email, and then no response for like 8 weeks. And then I spoke to my district counselor, Louis Ojeda, and he said, send me an email. So I sent him an email directly, no response. And I love Louis. No response. There's no response from anybody because they don't want to deal with that. They want to be on their cell phones, talking when people they don't like are up there. So it is what it is.
Yep.
And apparently they all have family emergencies all the time during public comment. By the way, all of them apparently are all at the same time having family members have to talk to them the one night a week that they have a job to do as a city councilor. Apparently their kids, their wives, their husbands, their significant others all text them all at the same time at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about
It's just wild.
This is not an issue that I care about. But
I know.
yeah, I mean, I just want to reiterate again, for all the councilors that have already declared that they are going to vote against the Civilian Review Board, we're all waiting for your alternative proposal.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They don't have to. And realistically, there's not even a mechanism with the public because they're taking that victory lap, Tom. They believe truly that they won this victory and that all things have been restored and normalcy will now prevail.
And they will continue to set the example that they've been setting, that they will do whatever they want, whenever they want. And then they wonder why people at the police department do whatever they want, because they've told them 1,000 times that they don't care what they do. They don't care about any of the people in the city or what happens to them. They care about getting police union support for re-election. That's the only thing they care about. They only care about themselves. Otherwise, you would have heard a proposal for an alternative to this thing that they're opposed to. But what they're opposed to, is the concept of oversight, which goes back in this country to pre-constitution, goes to the 1600s, goes to the government. Help me out. Why can't I think of it?
The Confederacy,
no.
The Constitutional Congress, Continental Congress,
Maybe.
Articles of Confederation.
Yes. Or the I don't know. Maybe I don't know why am I drawing a blank? But yeah, I mean, it goes back pre-constitution, on this continent. And they're opposed to it. They're ideologically opposed to oversight. That's the only thing you can draw. Otherwise, they'd have an alternative proposal.
But the reason why they don't, the WRRB, they don't like it anymore is because it came up with an answer they didn't like. So
Right.
they were hoping the Research Bureau would return an answer that supports their position, and they did not. They did not. I said Magna Carta in there in some stretch, maybe I didn't. I thought I said Magna Carta. What's
No,
the
you
other
did.
one too? What's the one before that one where they all signed some stuff? I know Sean will take care of business. He'll get us some good stuff.
Yeah, Article of Confederation. Yeah.
Articles of Confederation. Yeah. You get a lot of stuff from there. All right. So what's our first topic, by the way? We haven't even gotten to it yet.
Well, we just did two.
Yeah. That's
We
right.
did the recount and the next council. So yeah, I mean, the next council's going to be very pro-business, anti-working class, because you can't be both. That's just how it works.
But they won't be pro small business. They'll be pro
No.
the tent pole members of the Chamber of Commerce and then outside developers. Those are the people that they consider to be important business partners. They do not care about your local small business. They don't.
Nope. I mean, and if they, an idea for tax relief would be business owners who employ, some percentage of their workers that are Worcester residents and live in the city. Then you can give those people tax relief.
Hey, I want to give how about this? I'll give you a literally current example. They say that the reason that we have paid parking in the city is because people will just park there all day, right? That's their number one reason. It's like, oh, but we got to have people moving along because people will just park all day. How come now from this past Saturday on, yesterday on, every Saturday until the Saturday after Christmas is free parking in the city? Because those are the busiest days of the year, busiest shopping days of the year, Tom. So wouldn't people take up more spaces? Do people all of a sudden don't take up the space that they would take up if it was the summer? Explain that logic to me. You can't explain it to me. And by the way, I've had this conversation with every level of city government. They can't explain it to me because the parking thing is a scam. They spend more money collecting the parking than they get in. It's a net negative, but it has nothing to do with anything but controlling the downtown area, creating a weird tax base off of it, and then weird accounting standards that they're using for the ballpark district and all this other stuff. Tom, I had to listen to Tim McGordy go on all the media stuff to try to explain away the difference in the, am I saying this right? The diff or the TIF? What the ballpark is a diff, not a TIF, right?
The district improvement, diff.
It's a diff. Okay. And remember what he's saying is that at budget time, they project X amount of money will come in from the diff.
Yep.
And the shortfall is the collections didn't make it up. Okay. Now, if you notice, Councilor Russell, who, by the way, this is the only thing he does good, and he is great at asking these questions. He asked about the individual accounts within the diff. So parking, the real estate taxes, yada yada yada. He does really good job of that, and I hope somebody picks up that torch because that's the one thing George offered. He would actually ask questions and drill down on those accounts, those specific accounts. But one of the ones he brought up was there was a $40,000 shortfall in parking. Right? It was this weird number in parking. And then McGordy explained it away. Well, we projected X amount of parking to come in, and that didn't come in. And that's because if you live in the city of Worcester, Tom, right? What are you going to do knowing that there's paid parking downtown? What are you going to do?
Not go there unless I have to.
Exactly. That's one. So you're losing all the economic benefit of people from the city going down there. But I can tell you what happens because I live on Irving Street. You know what's right across from me on Irving Street? The big Chatham Street apartment building with this massive parking lot. Every Sunday when there is a mass at St. Paul's, it's full, right? It's empty, completely empty. So do you know what happens? Do you know what happens during every single baseball game? People park in that lot and walk to to the game. So all that income is gone, right? And because no one's going to charge those people parking, right? Because there will be a riot. But anybody who lives on the west side or anybody who lives on the, they'll all come there, they park there, and then walk over. And that's not the only place they do that. There's multiple other places around that are just outside of the zone. So you've already trained people not to spend money in the zone where we want people to spend money, right? That's what we want. We want them to spend money. The second thing you do is that guarantees no one stays for those businesses, right? Because you and I both know this, and everybody in the chat, you can answer this question pretty clearly. If you are at the baseball stadium and you have a game, and you know that your car is a solid 10 or 15-minute walk away, even if you take the little shuttles, are you going to stay and go to a restaurant downtown or a shop? What are you going to do? You're going to walk to your car because you want to get the hell out of there. That's what everybody does. And then you go home and then none of the money gets spent. So the economic theory that they have behind it is completely backwards because that's not how people actually behave. People don't behave that way. People want to get out. The vast majority of people don't want to deal with traffic. So they leave. They leave.
Yep.
And do you think that people who don't live in the city stay? Did they stay downtown? No, they don't. Another example connected to this, and then I'll stop, is the Worcester Public Market. The Worcester Public Market doesn't even match its hours to the games. It doesn't even match its hours to the games. So you know what happens? No one goes into the stores after the games. And they leave. Then they go home. That's what people do because they don't want to spend their money downtown. Now that's part of a long-term process, not just the ballpark and things like that. And I'm sure there's exceptions to this rule, by the way. I'm sure some people want to stay. Maybe someone will walk over and go to a shop. But what is that's attracting you to stay after a game? Name something. Something. Tell me. Anybody something. Anybody in the chat. Give me a list of things that you feel like I want to stay downtown. In downtown Worcester, on Green Street, in Harding Street, in Kelly Square, in that area right there, how many things are down there that are attractive to you that you want to go to? Yes, the bus. Oh yeah, and then the WRTA stopped running the buses after the games too. There's nothing down there because they make it hard for those businesses to succeed. We all know that. We all recognize that, and so it's funny. Yeah, then the people who live there can't even park. I completely agree because I see Ginny's in the chat. Hi, Ginny. I live in Irving Street and we have a dirt kind of driveway, and people will park as close as they can to the edge of the driveway, up and down Irving Street, all the way to where the Durkin school building is. They'll jam up any space they can because, by the way, none of the ticket people are coming up there anyways onto Irving Street. They're all walking around on Harding Street in a circle. If you go to Harding Street, Tom, there's one guy, Harding Street and Green Street, that he just circles Harding Street and Green Street giving people tickets. He's a hawk, one of those parking guys. And then the rest of the time they're on Main Street over by the courthouse. They don't really even enforce the parking thing everywhere because they really focus on the area that they know people are trying to cheat and bump up their there's Jenny and bump up their cars as close as possible. I mean, we all see it. Like, we all know. Most of the people, we've lived here our whole lives. We know exactly how people behave downtown. It doesn't matter what they throw up down there. People do the same exact behavior. Because there's nothing that holds your interest, because parking is so difficult. Walking is so difficult. I don't know if you saw they opened up the sidewalk again near the library again, and then of course now the next 2 weeks they got the Walking Dead shooting down there. So if you do want to shop, Tom, you can't because there's zombies the next 2 weeks. Which, by the way, I'm pro movies, but you can't get around because they lock up the streets, which is good for the city in that area. But then the small businesses, none of them are getting any business, right? So I mean, these are things that the city council just doesn't listen to.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. I know that I know that folks that live down there make people feel uncomfortable. we live in a society where we don't want to see the results of our choices, right? We don't want to look at folks that are struggling. I know that the Rockland Trust Plaza, where what's his, Fam Jam. So Jeff Killebrew and that they've been trying to activate that plaza, and then of course that's right across from the church. That's probably one of the number one providers of food in the city, right? So down the little alleyway there, under the Green Street Bridge, and so folks live there. That's where they live. That it's not even that far away, and so the police pushes them down during the games. And then they try to activate that thing, but for the most part, there's so many people that live in that neighborhood. They can't be moved. You can't move all those folks off to thing. All you can get them to do is maybe go to a different area for a little while, but eventually that's where they live. That's where they're going to congregate. The second bridge, the one that's near the bus station, is the warmest one, and so no, I'm not in The Walking Dead, Fred. No, I'm not in the zombie movie. Um, the second one that's over there, it's the warmest bridge, so it makes sense. Guess where people are going to go when it's cold? The bridge that's the warmest, because there's like, I don't know why it's so warm under there. Maybe it's because of the train, but it is warm under there.
All right. So that's the bit on the next council, and you had some things to say about. So this past week they punted until the next meeting, but it's tax classification time, and so the
Yes.
council is debating what it's going to do with the residential and commercial tax rates, which of course are not the same in the city. This is John's request to talk about this.
All right. So the tax thing. All right. So the reason there's two reasons I've been thinking about this. One, in the District 3 race between our two trusty District 3 council candidates, John Fasolo and Rob Pizzella, we had this back and forth between the two of them about who supported the lowest residential tax rate the most and who had it on whose website and blah, 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 blah. So much that there was arguments in the hallway at Mechanics Hall. People are shouting at each other over who supports the residential tax rate the most. And every year, on TV, we hear it on Hank's show, we hear it in the Telegram and Gazette. We just have this drumbeat of the lowest residential tax rate, the lowest residential tax rate. So, can you bring up this the statement that I wanted from the Chamber of Commerce? If you go to the Chamber of Commerce website, you'll find this lovely thing there about Worcester's dual classification. So I'm just going to read the last sentence there. It says the Chamber will continue to advocate on behalf of the community to narrow this gap over time, to assist our small businesses' sustainability, promote job creation, and revitalize our downtown and neighborhood business districts. Okay, so we just spent. You can take it down, Tommy. But go. I'll put the for those of you who want it, I will throw it into the Facebook chat. I can't do the YouTube thing live, but I'll throw it in there. So we just talked about how there's a policy in the city, at least one, that is not conducive to small business with the parking, right? Downtown. So, but the chamber says that if they eventually meet these two rates, the lower the business rate and bring up the residential rate, that's what the advocacy for is, to a single rate, that we will end up with a place that builds small business. And that's at some point, if you go into that page and check out the whole thing, it says that there was this distant past in 1984, Tom. In 1984, 35% of the tax base came from our commercial and industrial sectors. And now it's only 21% of the tax revenue. There's a really little sneaky little trick that they're doing there. Really, really, really. I thought about this, and I'm so excited to present this to Tom, because I think Tom's going to be excited about what they did. There's an underlying reason as to why the commercial tax revenues have lowered so dramatically as a proportion of the budget. Do you want to know what that is? Valuation of properties. Since 1984, the average cost of a house in Massachusetts in 1984 was $72,000. What is the average cost of a house in Worcester today? Does anybody want to tell? Anybody want to look it up? for a single family house. Just go ahead and look that number up in the chat. And I know you're going to get a bunch of different numbers, but the average cost of a single family house is over $400,000. Over $400,000. $400,000. So you're taxing a property worth $400,000 at a lower rate compared to taxing 500K. There you go, Fiona. She's a real estate agent versus taxing a number back in the day at a higher
78.
of only 75,000. It's a massive disconnect, and they're doing it right to our faces. They literally, to our faces, they're slapping us around and calling us Sally, right? Because they think that we're too stupid to realize what they're doing. Of course, there's going to be more revenue from the residential property valuations because that has been something has skyrocketed. There is no evidence other than the 2008 housing crisis, right? When we saw markets kind of caved in during the Obama administration, or the beginning of Obama, end of Bush. But that was because of mortgage security speculation. It had nothing to do with the values of the properties. This is so.
Well, it did. It had to do with artificially inflating the values of the properties at scale.
Aha. So, Tom, you kind of know where I'm going, right? You know where I'm going. Okay. So, side by side with that, we have seen the natural progression of rent increases that's been driven by tax increases, not percentages, guys, but the total cost that a landlord has to pay, not percentages now. So if you go and look at it, every year people's tax bills are going up. Side by side of that, and it depends on if you use escrow or not for your building insurance. If you get, and on the real estate agents will probably go crazy with this, right? Insurance goes up. And correct me if I'm wrong. Your building insurance goes up if you're a landlord, if you are funding it through the escrow where you hold security deposits. Okay, so most landlords, these are triple decker people, fund it through that mechanism. Okay, and that's how they get the insurance company to roll over the rate. But what's also happened over the past 8 years, at least that I can see in my research, is that the cost of insurance for insuring a property has skyrocketed simultaneously. So you have these massive increases in insurance coupled with what seems like an increase in tax, but it's not really an increase in tax by percentage, but in tax by volume. Are you with me so far? Anybody have questions?
By the increase in the value of the home. Yeah.
Okay. So then the landlords take that total dollar now and amortize it over the course of the year against their tenants, which has increased, right? Fiona's insurance is doubled. There's an example, right? It increases the rent because there's no law that prevents them from passing those costs through to tenants. Okay. At the same time, the city has invested tons of money, TIFs, agreements, blah, 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 to build these big properties that are now valued at these massive amounts. Those rents come in high. They come in high. I'm not even going to go into the real page software and stuff today because this is the longer term story that we need to look at. But those rents come in high. So anybody, if you own a triple decker and there's a building downtown that has a 2-bedroom that costs $3,000, but you were charging $800, what are you going to do when someone comes, when that unit becomes free? You're going to increase your rent.
Well, and your taxes are going up. Your insurance is going up because it's going to cover the increased value of the home. To self-employed costs.
Now, they want the commercial tax rate to come down. You guys are all listening. Ready? What buildings pay the commercial tax rate? 4 units and up. So who is the most likely beneficiary of a lowered commercial tax rate? Large building owners. They are the most likely to receive.
They pay the commercial tax rate?
They do. In Massachusetts, it's the 4 units and up that can pay the commercial tax rate. So the interesting go ahead, you look it up. You get to see this live, folks. This is exciting. Okay. The buildings in the downtown area, in the diff, they already benefit from what, Tom? What do they already benefit from?
Well, they're saving. If they have a TIF, they're saving on the increased value of the tax.
That's right. So they're not paying into that pool that we said that all the residential people are paying into on the valuation, right? Those are exactly, Natalie. You know exactly where I'm going. So these are the big buildings. These are big owners. It's not like, and we're not talking about developers like the one that owns my building, WCHR. It's a little tiny place, right? We're talking about the big developers. They're already given a tax benefit through the diffs and the TIFs and all this other stuff. They're already given that. Now, the Chamber of Commerce is arguing for a reduction in the commercial rate because it also reduces their taxes for those buildings. But there is no correspondence in any place in the country, Tom, that I can find that when this happens, that they lower the rent. They don't. They just increase their profits. They just say, hey, we don't have to pay as much taxes, and now we're going to keep more money to ourselves. But there's no example of the rents coming down. The only places, if you go look at Seattle, Chicago, Houston, right, Phoenix, Arizona, a couple of the major cities where they've had huge crashes in the rents, they've also had a simultaneous crash in property values because of changes in the accounting systems. They've changed how they've looked at this. They've changed how they value these things, and they've moved away from the way that we're doing it now. So there's two paths that I see, and I'm going to really go into this over the next year. Me and Tom are going to do some deep dives into the housing market and why they're doing it the way that they're doing it. But if they do shift policy wise to a single tax rate, it really only benefits that group of people. If they do it in a different way, which of course we've heard about rent control, which will never happen. I'm sorry, folks, it's not going to happen. It isn't. It's technically already illegal in the state because of a 1994 ballot initiative. And then the guy who's the Speaker of the House, Mariano, he's already calling on the record. He's not going to let it happen, even if you guys vote for it. He's not. It's just not going to happen. And he's proven that he doesn't care what people vote for. He doesn't care. So it's not going to happen if he doesn't want it to happen. He's literally the king of Massachusetts right now. He can do whatever he wants. So there's a tension there, which could lead to a huge problem for like single family and like cheaper landlords who own like a triple decker or two, right? Those folks are going to be crushed if their valuation drops in a significant amount. But the people at the top aren't going to have that big of a problem because their financing wasn't real cash. That's the other thing, the difference between someone who's like, you and me, Tom. Let's say you wanted to buy a house. You're going to have to put a cash down payment on that house, right? The speculators don't do that. They're not putting any cash in. They're speculating and they're leveraging and blah, 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 blah. So I just want you guys to think about that when they talk about this thing. I do think a single rate is probably the right thing. I think, but I don't know for sure because just looking into it just a little bit, it turns out that they're bullcrapping and they're advocating for big business again. Again, it's for big business. It doesn't lead to Thomas board. It doesn't lead to small businesses increasing their ability to do business in the city because the city has shown you through results. I'm just talking about scoreboard. Just look at the scoreboard over the past 6 years since the ballpark thing really became a reality. What has happened downtown? What has happened in the ballpark district? Have small businesses succeeded or failed? You tell me, Tom.
I don't know. I mean, obviously a bunch of stuff is closed.
Yeah. Yeah. Were they replaced by mom and pop businesses?
No.
Right. And listen, by the way, the flatbread pizza place, good, awesome, but it's subsidized by the building it's inside of. It's inside of an apartment building. So it's subsidized. It's not really fighting with the other little pizza shops. It's just not. Right. So it doesn't have to do the same work that other small restaurants have to do. Even the restaurants inside of the public market have to struggle for customers and getting people in and all that other stuff that place doesn't have to do because it literally is subsidized by the building itself. it's not really a small business, is what I'm saying.
Yep. So it's interesting. It'd be interesting to know how many renters live in buildings that would be affected if by the decrease in taxes, if the rate was equalized.
And whether or not the city councilors who advocate for it, they do have bowling. And by the way, I think it's great. It's great to have another place. Awesome. I wish we would have more than pizza places, because we only have, it's like pizza or Italian, and we don't really have a huge diversity of restaurants in that area. You have to go to other neighborhoods to get better food. And obviously I'm a big Hispanic food guy, so all my places are not downtown. All the best places that I like to go are farther away. But I agree with you 100%, Tom. Will the councilors advocate for that tax difference to go back to the renters? The answer is no.
No, and I don't
No.
think they. I mean, I don't think they could if they wanted to, but they don't want to.
They don't. Of course not. They don't want it. Well, why would they? Why should they care? And to be honest with you, you already have an example, by the way, of them starting to not care. Yeah, but the public market restaurants are also a little bit subsidized, Fiona, and but that's a different conversation. But so the building, the Front Street building, right? That live view technology thing where they decided to put the music on in the middle of the night and play it for 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it is, and now they're parking a police car down there, and everybody who's on that backside of that building is getting blasted with police light all night long, right? Because they're trying to drive out folks that are unhoused. So the Front Street building, when it was built, it was like the shining star, man. Right? That was the last Renaissance.
Yeah, and that
And
whole city square thing. Yeah.
right, City Square, baby, that was the last diff. And you know what? They showed that what did it take? 7 years, Tom? 8 years? They don't care about you no more. They don't care about you guys no more. So now they're just smashing you with stuff. They just don't care. And so for those of you who live in the buildings downtown, this is a scenario coming soon to your future when the city no longer cares about you and they've moved on to the next shiny object. They'll start doing things just like that, because as a matter of policy, they hate homeless people here in the city of Worcester, and so we gotta drive them out, do everything we can to do stuff. But for now, those new buildings, they kind of have a pass for a little while because they're still trying to make that money back that they'll never make back from the ballpark.
Yep. And then last thing on our agenda today, interesting school committee meeting now 2 weeks ago on how to vet volunteers within the schools, and this turned into a really a Monfredo conversation, and how do we prevent this from happening again? It started in committee, where I mean, I guess there's different views of it. In the end, some feel like Diana Biancaria was advocating for Manfredo to be let back in the schools because he hasn't been convicted of anything. Others deny that. She hasn't really kind of qualified what she said. But she did, say that she found the whole topic funny, which a lot of people took some significant what am I looking for? Some umbrage with her calling it a conversation that she found it humorous. And then I don't know what Maureen Benenda was doing in the full school committee meeting when this came up, but I mean, they just don't care what happened. They just don't care.
No, the thing that is, at least they said, I will give this, at least they said out loud what they want, which is they specifically want this one person to be able to get back into the school system. And my question is this: why would he want to? Under what circumstances? Why is this the driving force of your life, to be able to get back into elementary schools and read books to kids when you have been accused, even if somehow the dude was innocent, which I really find harder and harder and harder and harder to believe anybody believes that. But okay, let's for the sake of this conversation say that was potentially true. Why would you take the chance of someone else accusing you? Why? Why would you put yourself in that position? Dude, and I've talked about this before. I have a record. I have a record. And even though my record is not that kind of thing, I don't put myself in a position to be accused. I just don't. I don't. I'm very rarely alone with anybody on purpose, because I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, this person, he said this to me," or blah 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 blah. And yeah, you know what? It makes it harder. It makes it harder to live. And I'm a freaking bank robber. like, dude, and I'm just telling, that's a real life consideration. But when you have that kind of thing going on, why would you do this? And God forbid, oh my goodness, why, after the election that just took place, when this was a drumbeat, a very wide issue, would Diane say the dumbest thing I've ever heard her say, which is that it's a Facebook rumor? Bro, Diane, watch the show. There's documents, police reports here now. You're so wrong, it's unbelievable. So for you to say that it's a joke, it's mind-boggling to me, this thing. And again, I think it goes back to the point that we've made. They don't care. They
Nope.
just don't care. They
Nope.
don't care about you or me. They don't care about the community, right, that they call it. They don't care. Whatever they want to do is what they're going to do.
And
And
this is kind of, it's sort of the same argument as, in a weird way. And let me connect the dots here, as the police unions made about the DOJ report, is that they wanted a standard of evidence when nobody was even individually accused in that situation. They wanted a standard of evidence that was higher than anything we really have. They wanted a standard of evidence of absolute truth, right? And in this case,
was enough for them.
No,
They wanted
no.
a higher level.
They wanted, if you don't have video of it happening, it didn't happen. And even if you did, they've disputed that in the past. With the beer garden thing, for example, they found that was all up. First, they found it was all up above board. The Fafana thing, where a number of police officers said that this person accelerated their vehicle at them and struck 2 police officers. Then we have surveillance video that shows none of that happened. That, by the way, is a conspiracy to try and falsely imprison somebody and should be prosecuted, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But they kind of saying, well, he wasn't convicted beyond a reasonable doubt, and so that is the only standard we could use to enable access to children, which that's well higher than the standard that DCF uses. Well higher.
It's so wild. Why would you put, by the way, even if you don't have a record, even if you do not have a record, why would anybody, adult, that is not a teacher, want to go into a school and read to children? What is, I'm sorry, it's 2025. I guess if this happened in 1960, maybe it would be viewed in a different way. But I even think about that. Why would an adult who is not a teacher have such a desire to read books to kids in the school? You could do it at the library. You could go to the library and you could on Facebook say, I'm going to have an open reading session at the library. There's 1,000 adults around. There's 1 million people. There's cameras everywhere. Why do you have to go into the school to do it? Public school, not private school, a public school, and insist upon it so much that you have people that are advocating for this also, that are both, at least in Maureen and Diane, former public school employees, city employees. What the heck? What is going on in their brains? I don't get it. I don't get it.
To answer Natalie's question, the only thing he's ever said publicly is that he was never alone with that girl. There is significant evidence to suggest that that's not true.
No, and he didn't offer to take a lie detector test.
Yeah, no.
Sure.
I wouldn't either.
And by the way, the lie detector test doesn't, the science behind it is questionable anyways. So
Yeah. So yeah, it was a pretty amazing thing. Heather Prudier went and spoke at
The following,
um,
right?
at the full committee meeting, and at the full school committee meeting, and was amazing.
Yeah, she is. She's a hero again. You know, folks that are willing to stand up and way braver than anything I've ever done in my life, standing up and you know, basically allowing yourself to be put in the crosshairs, which is
Yep.
wild. Which is wild. I don't think dude, Tom, I I have a criminal record, dude. I've never been wrung through the mud the way this lady has,
Nope.
at all.
Nope.
At all, at all. Not even remotely close. Have I like you know not at all. I mean, I got arrested. I went to jail. There was some newspaper articles, and our buddy Steve Quist loves to publish them and remind everybody of the thing. But I've talked about it openly. It is what it is. It's part of my life story. I have not gone through the trials that this lady has gone through. Not
Nope.
even remotely close. And I did it. I'm guilty. So it is what it is. Wild
Yeah.
stuff, man. Wild.
It's interesting that that individual that you mentioned will talk about stuff that's 20, 30 years old for about you, but won't mention this situation with
Oh no.
no.
No, because then he'd be caught out, right? So you can't no, you can't. If you're gonna say one thing, you want to do the one thing and not really worry about what the other thing is.
Yeah.
And so you want yeah. That's the thing, and that's the thing is. By the way, I would say the same thing. I don't understand why folks would want to be in the classroom at this point. Why? Why even put yourself in the position to be accused? Because you're right, Natalie. They'll be on the other hand, they'll accuse anybody who's this way, right over here. They'll be like, "You're this, you're that," blah 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 blah. But then their own folks, they'll set up this wall of protection. It's amazing. It's just wild. The police, the same thing with the DOJ report. They circled the wagons, the wagons. Do you remember the chief? The chief went on the radio and he was like, "Oh, one of our officers was pulling someone over, and the lady said, 'Shame on you.' And we don't want our officers to have to go through that." I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
that?
What about the guy who got yanked out of his car and they said that he tried to hit a police officer with a car and that never happened?
It never happened. It just boggles your mind. And
Yeah.
when you ask these questions, like I've asked the questions directly at this point now to people about a lot of different stuff, and they look at me like I have nine heads, Tom.
Yep.
Nine heads. They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm
Because
like,
they
"Don't you
can't
see the
because these
logic?"
people have a block. They're interested in themselves in re-election.
That's
And this
wild.
stuff gets in the way of that because they have an easy ticket to free police support. But it's not free. We pay for it when we pay for these stupid settlements that they walk us into because that's the
Yeah.
example that they set.
By the way, I thought about this the other day. You know what still hasn't happened in the local election? Real significant outside spending, like real numbers.
Oh, I don't
You
know
know what I
about
mean?
that. I mean,
No, I'm not so like what's the most anybody's ever raised? 150 grand, 200 grand?
yeah, I'd have to look at what
Yeah,
the chamber tax spent, which was mostly money from out of town.
yeah, 50, 100,000. What I'm saying is if somebody really wanted to change the nature of the elections in Worcester, and some independently wealthy person with 1 million or 3 million or 5 million, they could it would be a sea change. It'd be a sea change.
Oh yeah,
Like
without.
no one that's the thing, is that they have all the organizations are lined up in the same way. So you got the Chamber of Commerce, you got all the big businesses, you got the unions, you got everybody all in the same group. So they act the same as if one person came in with a ton of money. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so they get the same power of percentages, I guess, by being all on the same side. But if there was one person, and it doesn't even have to be left or right, I'm talking about somebody who, like, I don't know, wants to do some weird single policy thing. I don't know, come up with something, make up a new. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Dr. Mitra had the power of the chamber behind him, 100%.
Well, and he
100.
raised a ton of money, mostly from out of the city.
Yeah, out of the city. A lot of his family members too. He, which, that's an interesting way to do it, to kind of skate around some of the rules. Um, there's some, but again, um, unlimited money, dude. You can just dump it in if you want it.
Yep.
If you-
Yep. Oh, somebody's frozen. Anybody? Bueller? I don't know if it's him or me. So somebody comment who's frozen. Interesting. I don't know if it's me. It could be me. Could be him. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean that's fine though. He can be there. He can be there for the recount. There he goes. He'll be right back. Thank you for saying something. Yeah, look, Dr. Mitra raised a ton of money. Didn't uh, didn't really say much about policy except his weird comment at the at-large debate about rounding up homeless people and putting them in work camps or something like that. I mean, it was a very strange, creepy statement. But didn't really say much. I mean, look, I wrote a piece that there's very little policy discussion in the election cycle. It was all about either personal story or endorsements or who you're aligned with, and or chaos candidates. Uh, I would say that being ideologically opposed to oversight is pretty chaotic. And we're going to have, it seems like, 7 councils that are going to take that position. Yeah, he was there on Saturday when I was there, Natalie, and I mean, I only saw him for a minute. But again, overall, that was that whole recount was done quite well. I'm not sure that they need to be told, quite frankly. They're going to be ideologically aligned with each other, and at least for everything that I can see, at least at this point, I guess it'll really take seeing them vote to understand, how that's going to work. But I mean, I think that they're going to both firmly be in, kind of the mayor's coalition. People who talk about public safety, but don't think that includes controlling their own employees, or at least implementing policy that will help control their own employees. And look, that's why we have what we have. I'm kind of over. I'm post, really blaming the police department. This is the example that they see set. We have a mayor who, during the mayoral debate, probably the most watched debate, said that his solution to the so-called decorum issues was that he was going to restrict speech even more. Which, first of all, there's a state Supreme Court case that addresses that specifically, and says that he can't do that. And by him saying it, I guess, I don't know if that was televised or not, but saying it on probably the most widely viewed debate is probably not smart, since the city has a case going to the state Supreme Court for it could cost them $30 million, right, in the sewer dispute with Holden. So I don't know how wise that was, but that's the example they said. So why should police officers or anybody at the police department care about what the federal Supreme Court says about due process or probable cause or any of that stuff, right? Why? City council doesn't care. And that's so that's where I'm at, really, is elected people set the example and set the expectation, and the expectation they set is do whatever you want, and then when they do that, they say good job, go ahead. Well, right, yeah, right. I mean, that's what I said a couple weeks ago, Natalie. Is it's a really yeah. He's like, council's doing a good job doing what? But to Natalie's point, I mean, look, the arrangement's pretty simple. Uh, you know, the mayor's coalition runs on quote unquote supporting the police department, which is no restrictions on anything they do. Do whatever you want. Um, and in exchange for that, they get they get support from the unions, and then predictably, because of the example set and the messages sent, do whatever you want. They do whatever they want, and then taxpayers pick up the bill on the backside for the when the civil rights litigation comes. It's a really wonderfully corrupt way to finance your campaign on the public dole, is what it is. And John is still having trouble re-entering. And I don't particularly like saying that, to be honest, because I like some of the people involved and who I'm talking about. One-on-one, they're nice people, but politically, it seems pretty obvious to me what's going on here. The police unions have tremendous political sway, and they capitalize on it, and we pay the price, both in dollars and in and getting wrapped up in legal stuff when probably shouldn't in some cases. I mentioned the beer garden case, the Fafana case. It's just a group of police officers absolutely lying about what actually happened. And they didn't know that at the time that there was surveillance video that was later uncovered that showed that they were lying. And nothing was done about it in either case. In the beer garden case, one person did have a significant suspension, but that was after public outcry. They reopened the internal investigation and, found him responsible for some stuff. None of it being unreasonable force, however. It was a reporting thing. So, when this is, look, and we hear from our elected officials that while these cases are going on, they can't comment on them. And that's absolutely true. You shouldn't talk about a case when it's going through the court system. But when it's over, they then just say, well, the agreement that we signed, when they're settled at least, the agreement we signed says that we have, we accept no responsibility, which is in every lawsuit settlement that's ever existed. And that's just that, well, we didn't accept any responsibility. It was a strategic decision or a financial decision or whatever to settle the case because it was going to cost more to run it through than it would to settle it. And then they just never address it because, well, we didn't accept any responsibility. It's just nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense. I managed to talk that whole time.
I'm back.
Thanks for taking the abrupt exit.
I was sent to the showers by the powers that be. They did not want any more Sean.
I did not hit the freeze button. I don't have one of those.
Oh man, that was wild, man. I don't know what happened. The whole thing shut down. That never happened before.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
but you're back just in time. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I can't miss a whole week like I did sickness and then come back and not be here for the most important part of the show.
I was going to say you are back just in time for John's favorite part of the show.
It is 100% the world's favorite part of the show. Everybody knows that the number one thing that everybody likes is Tom's favorite thing. Tom's favorite things. And dude, we just had Thanksgiving, dude. And last Thanksgiving, we let you skate and you did Thanksgiving dessert, right? This year, Tom Marino, we are going to demand.
We're going to do Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's over, and you got another Thanksgiving question?
We weren't here for Thanksgiving.
You did a Thanksgiving question last time we were here. All right, go ahead.
Do we do a Thanksgiving food thing? Do we do
whatever
the food?
You want to? Listen, this is your bit. This is your bit.
So the whole thing is that when we ask about food, man, the chat goes wild. The chat goes wild, right? Everybody in the chat gets excited. They all start talking about different food. And of course, because Tom, we're the only one of the few media people that has a diverse population, we will get alternative Thanksgiving food, right? Because not everything is turkey and mashed potatoes. Sometimes we got some, we get some pernil out there in the world. So Tom, what is your? This is the meal itself. What is your favorite Thanksgiving meal item that you prefer?
Uh, I think I gave some actual food answers last time. I want to respond to Sam. Yeah, we know Bill. I was on this podcast, I think 3 or 4 episodes ago now with Heather about the Manfredo stuff.
Yeah,
Check it out. It was good stuff. Not because of me. I said very little. Um,
it was a great
uh,
episode.
it was Heather's.
Yeah.
Heather, I wanted to be there to include facts, when necessary, or pick up if it was getting into tough area. But she crushed it.
Yeah.
So meal item. I mean, I don't do cranberry sauce, and I think people that do cranberry sauce are over the top about cranberry sauce are weird.
It's gross.
Yeah, I mean it's like just processed cranberry. Blech.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep it simple. The smashed.
The potatoes. It's a potatoes thing.
Yeah, the smashed.
Yes. Yes.
And,
I'm a stuffing guy, especially when the stuffing
stuffing can work.
cooked inside of the bird, or the ham or the whatever. Because stuffing does not have to be just in a turkey. It could be in whatever it
Correct.
is that you're doing.
Could be made in a pan, which is how I'm used to it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. People who make it like around in the bottom. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Or people
make it separately from the bird at all.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so the box stuff has definitely gone down in quality from when I was a kid. Definitely a poor kid who had Stouffer's stuffing. I've noticed that the no offense to the Stouffer's company, because by the way, we would totally accept a Stouffer's sponsorship here at This Week in Worcester podcast. If they want to get down, if they want to get down, we accept it all. Um, they I would say that they have not maintained the level of quality, or my 6-year-old brain has a different view than 43-year-old brain does. But I'm a stuffing in the pan kind of guy. But because of attending a Hispanic church for so long, I got used to the yellow rice, right? So the
Mm.
yellow rice, man, with the pigeon peas, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Man, I think that's what made me officially Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? Like that's like the rules. You know what I mean? Like it's like, damn, that's good.
The
Like
rice is an amazing thing.
woo. Another thing, the pernil's good too. You know what I mean? But I'm not necessarily a pork guy all the time. But the way that it's made, it's just another kind of thing. Very soft, very fall off the bone. That's why my brain doesn't like the box stuffing anymore. Probably, Natalie, that's a good point. I like real food, not just I will say this though, just to tie it to the national argument for 1 second. How is it that anybody is saying that money that it didn't go up in price? How is it that anybody can say that at this point? You know what I
What do you
mean?
mean?
Like how much food costs in the grocery store?
So, talking about Trump and the Walmart thing.
Not just Trump, but Trump and this, because there's Democrats that make the same argument. It's that the Walmart thing is a perfect example, but it's not just that. There's like people who are like, well, it's less cheap here, it's less there, they argue from like specific items, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude. So I went um to Big Y. And they have those butterball turkeys that the boil in a bag ones. I don't know how you guys feel about those turkeys. Those are usually the cheapest ones by far. And there was like 10-pound turkeys that were like $40.
Mm.
That's $4 a pound for turkey. Right. So if you get sliced turkey at the deli, $4 a pound is a lot of money. I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, in what world is that cheap? Man, blows my mind. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, it's been interesting how the federal administration has been using the Walmart thing where it's like, oh well, it's cheaper than last year. Yeah, they give you less shit than last year. Like the
Yeah,
size of the package also went down, so it's
yeah.
less food. They
They
leave
just
that
don't.
part out.
But also, then you have them making these arguments for Christmas, which, by the way, it's kind of like a slap in the face to regular Americans. But again, the Uniparty doesn't care. They don't care about regular Americans. When they say, "Well, Sally should only get $1 this year instead of $10." And then I watched what's her name, Carolyn Levitt. She was like, "Yeah, you don't need to buy anything for kids under." I was like, "Kids under 5,"
Like,
and
shut up,
then
lady.
and then people over 19 or something like that. It was like some weird argument. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then I'm like, someone like sat down in a room and came up with that strategy. It's like, hey, this is what we're gonna say on the news, and
This is
that'll
gonna
help
work.
deflect the thing. By the way, I mean, I guess if they say the dolls are being bought from companies overseas, I guess maybe that's what they're saying. But you would think that would affect small businesses too, right? Because who's selling those dolls? You know what I mean? The Labubu. What's the one that everybody likes now? The
I
Labubus.
don't know. I have
The
no idea.
Labubus. Does anybody in the chat have a Labubu? You got a Labu? What? I forget how it is. Looks like a little demon.
All right.
I'm
We're
sorry.
talking about Labubu. It's time to go.
Labubu.
So thank you
Anyway,
all for joining us once again. John has recovered from his near-death experience.
gnomes are the place to be, anyways. So
So you should expect us to be back here next week. Not sure what we'll do Christmas week, but we'll figure that out in a couple weeks. For the time being, we will see you next Sunday. 8:35 is when we do this. Thank you very much for joining us. All the questions and comments and engagement is good. Thank you. And we will try to screw it up less next week. Until then, have a good week.
But hopefully I won't freeze next week in the middle of a. And I was frozen. I was like frozen like this, like
You were.
like
At least you weren't. Listen. At least you weren't mid rant.